Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Net Support Radio. Today, we are talking all things ISTE and doing a sneak peek of ISTELive for 2024, this year hosted in Denver. If you're not familiar, ISTE is the International Society for Technology and Education, and every year they host one of the biggest edtech conferences in the world, bounces around the United States. As I mentioned, this year it's in Denver. So we've brought on some wonderful guests to talk about what's going to be happening at ISTE and what you can expect. Our guests for today include Al Kingsley, who was recently named to the district administration's top 100 influencers in education. And when he's not influencing on Twitter and other platforms, he is writing edtech books and running a multi-academy trust and heading up Net Support. So hi, Al. Thanks for joining.
Hello. Lovely to be here.
We also have Abid Patel. He's an international speaker, a Google champion, and the king of selfies at EdTech events. So try and grab one with him this year at ISTE. Hey, Abid.
Hi, Maggie. I always like to say now, how would you like to pay, cash or check?
Can I Venmo you?
All forms of payments are accepted.
We appreciate that. Also joining us today is Brandon Peterson. He is a teacher, an MIEE, Microsoft and Education expert, and he's the ISTE Regional Program Director. So, Brandon, we're glad to have you on board with us today. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us.
And last but certainly not least is Camilla Gagliolo. She is the Senior Director of Community Content at ISTE and is in charge of the program for ISTE this year. So, Camilla, thank you for being here with us as well.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, I know we are all very excited about ISTE and what's coming up, but let's start by just going around and talking about what you are most looking forward to at ISTE this year.
I'm most excited because it's in Denver, which is where I live, and it's been in Denver a couple other times. I always just find it to be a family reunion. I get to see all my other fellow EdTech geeks and nerd out over all the learning. And have fun. But it being here, I'm a little, biased that it's going to be in our hometown again. So it's going to be fun.
Very excited. We love Denver. Is there anything we should check out while we're in Denver? Anything people should look out for?
All the things. There's lots of artwork. There's fun art tours already planned through ISTE. Check out all the trips and tours. We have a Meow Wolf here. So if you're looking to get into a little bit of a crazy art adventure, that is always fun. And there's just a lot of other fun things to do.
That's awesome. Everyone go see Brandon for your tips for the local Denver.
Yeah, it's a lovely city to be in for sure. And then we do have some regional, some very creative trips and tours to look at different, creative applications. And Meow Wolf is certainly one sort of must see. I think what Brendan did not mention is that he and his regional team has created a real showcase, a series of playgrounds that go all the way through the conference, which is showcasing a lot of regional educational practice, innovation across the region. Those are the playgrounds, are those hands-on, come try something new, get immersive, and just play around with different applications and pedagogical frameworks. Really, really great way of getting engaged in trying new innovative practices.
Maggie, how could you not get excited? Art and education all in one package for you. I mean, it's for anybody who knows, kind of my passion is very much about looking at the way we can leverage future technologies and the landscape in education. So I think just the title of this year, that venture into the future of learning, I think captures it for me. I'm really keen. There's lots of topics that kind of catch the eye about technology and best practice with data and digital, but actually I'm really interested in some of the strands around project-based learning, empowering our learners to be sort of self-creators and self-directed. The idea of tying up the way we do teaching and learning wrapped around real-world projects. It's a fantastic agenda. I'm not just saying that because I've got these lovely people on here, but there's something for everyone for those different themes around future thinking on education. So yeah, definitely excited.
I guess that just leaves me. Where do I start? I have been doing so much work with American-based educators since the start of the pandemic. Probably before the pandemic, just went after in July 2019 when I did the Google Certified Innovator, and a whole group of educators came over from the States, and that's how I kind of started to build my community. And then the pandemic happened, and we formed the global GEG from the 6 of us, based from all around the world, but we grew a massive American contingent, and it's my first time in the States, so I am really excited to not just get over there, but finally meet all of my friends that I've made over the last 5 years in person for the first time, and having those opportunities to, just sit and chill out and not have to arrange a meet or a Teams or a Zoom to address our, whatever challenge we want to address. Just have a nice chilled out in person, be natural. I might take a selfie or two. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just really excited to get out there and especially just feel the energy of education and edtech from the stateside perspective. Because those who know me will know I've been to an awful lot of conferences in my time here in the UK, and really learned a lot from that, and I can't wait to get over stateside and see how it is over there in person.
Well, like most things in the US, it's bigger, louder, and that basically sums this up, I think, too. But you mentioned something, Abbott, about having been doing things since COVID, and I think for the last couple of years, a lot of our priority has been shifting out of the COVID mentality, the learning gaps, learning losses, but a lot is changing education. So the big question is, what are the trends that you think are going to be prevalent this year at ISTE, or that you'd like to see highlighted specifically at ISTE?
Not AI. I'm just
I was going to say something about AI, but
how many times will we say that today?
I was going to say, it was so funny. I was just talking to a few friends who are sort of new in the edtech community, and I've been saying to them, you need to get onto Twitter and LinkedIn and stuff. And they go, I've been following this guy, and he does some really great work. And I don't know if you've heard of him, and he obviously must know about it. His name's AI Kingsley. And I've realized the amount of people, it's amazing the amount of people. I was going to say to Al, you're going to have to start using your full first name now, because like people are legitimately like, oh, this guy must be the guy to talk to about AI. And I'm like, you know what? He probably is the guy to talk, but it's actually Al Kingsley, not AI. I can't wait to see how many people make that mistake going forward.
The problem is my first name is artificial and my middle name's intelligent. So if I do the full name, it's going to be even more confusing. You know what? I'm with Brandon. I love the fact there's innovation and conversations happening around AI, but there's also a risk that it somewhat muddies and distracts from all the other really important things. And what I see more is there's one strand which is all rightly around evidence informed, kind of reassigning our measures of evidence. And historically, evidence is very much linked to academic outcomes. But increasingly, we're seeing evidence in terms of impact on children's social, emotional well-being and mental health. We're looking at impact of the way that technology and practice can reduce teacher workload and teacher well-being. We're looking at much more about how, I don't want to say work smarter, but it's about actually using tools to help facilitate the human-to-human bit that's really important, not replace or replicate. And I think if you look at the balance of some of the conversations that are being shaped, there's much more about that kind of focus around how we actually support the practice of teaching and learning. And AI is but one lever in the same way as many other technologies that have come before. So I want to encourage the conversation, but I don't want to lose sight that it's not the panacea to everything. And if anybody thinks it's the magic solution, they kind of miss the point of education, I think.
Very well said. As Camilla and like her team and then our regional team were selecting sessions, we did have a giant stack of AI but they all read the same. And I can't imagine why they would all read the same. And so what we found is that what's so brilliant about ISTE is when it's that personal, the touch, the stories, the ideas. And that was something we were really mindful of, as we were like, how do you provide like a well-balanced program, right? Like, and there are so many other things, you mentioned PBL earlier, student engagement, and we're continuing to look at like the ISTE standards. How are students constructors of their own learning? How are they designers? How are they global communicators? And that's where my passion has always been, is where, it's student centered, but we're the lead learner in this, and we're helping to guide them on these different journeys. And I think adventure is so perfect for Colorado because, there's so much to do here. In so many different ways. We have expeditionary learning schools. We have outdoor learning schools. We have so many different ways to learn. And I think that's what's important to absolutely not miss in the conversation as well. And so as we were doing the work, which if you've ever seen Camilla work, it's fun because we usually have a wall of all the sessions. And this year we did it differently. And so it was all on the floor. And we're crawling around all over the floor trying to figure out what sessions. And it was so fun because we really were intentional on not everyone actually wants to talk about AI right now. It's still in its infancy. And it gets so it's such a interesting thing to talk about because it's all over the place right now. And yet there are things we can do in STEAM. And, there's, like you mentioned, equity, accessibility, all these other features that are so cool. And are well more developed now and benefit all of our students and teachers. And so it was just fun to crawl around and make sure we provided just like a well-balanced meal for you all. So
on the floor, by the sounds of it.
On the floor, that was so fun.
We used to hang them all on the walls so that we could balance and not have the same, we actually try to really think about how we balance the program so that there is content for anyone from a pre-kindergarten teacher to a district leader at all times, and balancing all the different topics that we might want that goes across education. So we're really bringing a learning experience to everyone who is there. I think of the conference and the program as sort of a learning fest, meaning you come and then you can select to learn in a number of different ways. We have playgrounds, we have hands-on creation labs where you get deep into creating something. We have a Camp Creativity, which has a lot of creative applications, and we have sort of regular sessions too. But we really try to make the experience for all of our educators, all of our participants, be in a way that would fit their learning needs as they come to experience and experiment. So a lot of experiential and experimental learning, I want to say, as well as really being able to model what best practices and innovation looks like, feels like, and just making sure that we have lots and lots of perspectives and lots of practice that gets shared by the educators who are with us at the conference.
That's wonderful. And one of the things that's great about ISTE is y'all are so intentional about planning the program. You get a lot of conferences where people feel like everything is a product pitch, or it's and I mean, I work for a vendor, so I get it, where everyone's talking about their own product. But with ISTE, there are so many different flavors and varieties. You have the opportunity, like you said, to get hands-on, to really dig in. You can sit and absorb, you can meet and interact with. So there really is something for everyone. And, Brandon, like you were talking about, AI obviously is a big topic, but you guys are trying to expand beyond that and really make sure you selected a very diversified program for the year so that you really did have a lot of opportunities for everybody, which is super exciting. I know that I have already scoped out the program and the schedule to check everything out. So I'm really curious about if you have any sessions. I know it's really hard to like highlight just one because you want to love on everybody, but if there are any speaking sessions or keynotes that you are just really excited about attending, or that you really want to kind of shine the light on that maybe people might not normally have looked at or have had chance to take a look at some of the sessions yet?
Couple of things that maybe would be new experiences or that I might want to highlight. We are creating sort of a specific experience, a little conference within the conference, which we call the Innovation Arcade. So we have multiple experiences within that, but all with emergent technologies. AI it has a large piece in there as well, but it's all educator-led shared practice. And within that, we have created this year some model lessons, meaning you will come and you will have an educator who is leading as you would be a classroom practice with either AI or AR or VR or XR, and just having the experience of what it looks like when you're a student when you're in the seat of a student and this model lesson gets delivered. Within that space, we actually have one session that I think is going to be really interesting. We have Intel and ISTE has created a challenge for students to create an AI application that is impactful in the world, and these students are being supported to come and actually present their applications. I haven't seen them yet, but the students will be there. I know we have one who's actually coming all the way from India who has been part of this challenge. So built on the global goals and impactful application. So that one I'm really looking forward to.
I can see why. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
There's a couple that jumped off the page for me. I'm really pleased that we're talking about experience more than AI. So I don't want to flip, but there's a presentation on Tuesday that Ethan Mollick's doing, and I've been reading his book Co-Intelligence. So I'm really interested because that's much more of a broader our lives and that integration with technology. And then probably to resonate, somebody that I know Abid knows well. There's a session Steph Howell and Greta Sandler are doing, which is much more around project-based learning, empowering creative and critical thinking. So I think that kind of nice yin and a yang resonates those two sides of the conversation. I mean, there's so many you could pick. The problem is I wouldn't have time to go off looking at all these art and these tours with Brandon that I've now got to commit to.
I'll follow on from Al. I was going to shout out my edtech partner in crime, Steph Howell and Ivo Hanan, who are doing the edtech Bake Off, and there are it's literally a quick fire session with lots and lots of educators about how to spice up your lessons with creativity and tools for creativity and communication and collaboration, and really fast-paced, entertaining, hands-on, really boisterous, fun and engaging activities, which is going to be a really great one. And one thing I probably should have mentioned at the start about what we're excited about is I haven't actually announced this yet, so this kind of probably a full announcement is I've been selected as one of the ISTE featured voices for this year, which I'm really honored and excited about. And I wanted to call out some of my fellow featured voices. One of them is Kayla Holland, who I was very fortunate to meet in Dublin last year at the Google Champion Symposium. And she's, I was looking through her sessions, and she's doing a really great session about putting out the fires in education and a guide to solving problems. And one thing that she's doing is really highlighting the process of design thinking. And design thinking is something that I picked up in the Innovator program. I've been using it and in sessions that I've delivered at various conferences over the years, and it really it's really interesting to see how suddenly we all claim to be experts at a particular topic, and when you get into that design thinking scenario and it's quick based, right, you got 30 seconds to think of an idea, go. And then it's like, right, I've just put pen to paper, and it's like, right, 30 seconds are up. It's like, wow, what's happened? And I think design thinking is such an amazing, powerful thing in education, and can really help to the phrases, I think, overthinking is the enemy to innovation, and design thinking has really helped me to get over that overthinking mentality, because the minute you sit down to do something, it's like, right, what do? I need to think about this and that. And when you're just in that quick fire, high pressured scenario, it's amazing the stuff that you can come out with. So absolutely, Kayla Holland in her session, that'd be great to see.
Well, you had me at Bake Off. So I was signed in at that point.
I think there's a couple other, maybe 3 other things that I can think of. Camilla definitely took my one of my favorites, which was the Innovation Arcade, which last year was called the ISTEverse. It's so incredible to see. There's even mindfulness in there, which is really neat to see. But then we did it last year at Philly with the Discovery Museum, which is like student-based art and doodling and all this other fun stuff. So something like that is returning this year, and I'm excited to see how that looks. It was just so neat to see like just art, and to be able to do a walk and see how students can leverage art and join their projects and things like that. There is also an esports final showdown with Minecraft this year. So we're excited with that. One of my good friends has been helping with that a little bit, and some of our kiddos will be on the main stage, for a build battle. So that's always really fun. I don't remember which day it is, Camilla, do you?
Yeah, it's on Monday.
It's on Monday.
It's on Monday, and what you were mentioning was Camp Creativity is really a both hands-on and place that you have like a creative constructor studio, as well as a gallery of artifacts that educators and students around and particularly regionally has created. So it's a really cool a cool place. And I think there's actually a school system in Denver who has engaged with Meow Wolf to make art exhibits. So that's going to be featured in that. Our esports event is a Minecraft build. There are 4 teams coming from around the country: Los Angeles, New York, Colorado, and a virtual school, who are going to get a challenge on stage to build a classroom of the future. We think, don't tell the students yet. But it would be really interesting to see the creative applications that would come up from that, and what they might create and come up with doing that.
And I also would like to say the poster is always one of my favorites. I tend to not be able to sit still for a long period of time, and I love to talk to people. And posters are just one of my favorite places, which are right next to the playgrounds that we've talked about. So, and they're in a brand new space in the convention center this year. You can see the Rocky Mountains from there. It's a beautiful space, but I love posters because you get to have these quick conversations with educators around the world. And I walk away with so many ideas that I've used in my classroom this year. So posters are always a fun thing for me.
Well, you guys have done a really good job of highlighting other people, but 3 of you have speaking sessions this year at ISTE. So this is your chance to talk about you and what you are going to be presenting at ISTE. And Brandon, I'm going to call on you first. Highlight yourself and all your good work.
Well, when I'm not running around like crazy, I will be in the regional playground space a majority of the time. So that was one of my big tasks, was working with educators around all of Colorado and the Rocky Mountain region to spotlight things from computer science. We even have a rules Colorado showcase, so showing that innovation doesn't just happen in urban areas, it happens all around. And that'll be in the Bluebird Ballroom, and it's all week. So you have like your international playgrounds going on, and then we have a regional one as well. And then I am helping with the LGBTQ plus affinity space on Tuesday, June 25th from 3 to 4. So I'm excited. I love that we started the affinity meetups last year at ISTE, and it's just a fun time. I sometimes feel like already with ISTE, you feel like the island of misfit toys, where you're with all your nerdy, geeky edtech people, but then when you get into your affinity spaces, there's like this new layer, and it's just fun to talk and come up with ideas and solutions to things you're frustrated with. So that's where I'll be.
I love that. And I love that there's so many different spaces. And like you said, there are opportunities to check things out all week. So it's not a single time, but there's going to be opportunity for you to kind of bounce back and in and out of things too. Abid, where can we catch you at ISTE?
I am doing a talk on edtech on cybersecurity and education. So I have spoken for many years about cybersecurity here in the UK, and I've had lots of people stateside reach out to learn more about cybersecurity and what we're doing here in the UK, and how that would kind of align with systems and practices in the States. So I'm really excited to share my experiences of how we've done cybersecurity here and sort of the key things to look out for. I always like to say that yes, there are quirks between education systems in different countries and stuff, but at the end of the day, the tech is still the tech, and the tech only speaks the one language. It speaks the tech language. So there are quite a lot of similarities with a few tweaks here and there. So really excited with that. And then I am doing 2 talks on the net support stand. I'm doing one building on the cybersecurity talk about called the dangers of not understanding digital, and really trying to highlight exactly that, why we need to understand what the digital is, the part that it plays in our schools, and sort of the detrimental aspect of not understanding it. And sometimes it's a case of not knowing really, and sort of highlighting, do we bring in those realizations? And then my final talk on the net support stand is finding your PLN, your personal learning network, and building your own brand, and pretty much telling the story of how I've built that community of friends and colleagues all around the world just through those virtual connections and making those connections in person, and sort of how to start your own journey. Because the one thing I always love to see is meet new people and see how what you're doing, and and I think we all do wonderful things in education, but we don't shout loud enough about them. And I think that's what I'm really trying to champion, is shouting about that tiny little thing that you think is so insignificant, but then the minute you share it, it's like, wow, I had no idea you could do that. Like, that's amazing. And you think to yourself that I've been doing this for like 20 years. Like, doesn't everyone just know that? And it's amazing how like sharing those little snippets of information can just help you to build humongous communities. And really excited for that session.
Awesome. We are looking forward to having you. Very excited for what you're going to be sharing. Al, last but not least.
Well, I'm going to make a last-minute change and go to Meow Wolf as an immersive art playground instead. I think there's more potential than on my topic. Whilst I'm not there playing with my immersive art, I am going to be doing a session, which sounds a bit dry, but trust me, it's not, which is about the essential updates needed for a school's digital strategy. And maybe the word strategy is more about vision, but I think it's much more about, we've often shaped that around the tech, but it's actually about use. It's about how we evidence it, how we select the right tools, and we're thinking with a pedagogy lead on the technology we use. We're thinking about how our digital vision can tie in with well-being, support for staff and learners, and recognizing that there are always fresh challenges. So security, interoperability of data, and try and do it in a fun way. A bit like Abid, you know, a lot of people don't know, I spent a good few years living in sunny Atlanta, and have many friends across the education system in the US. And so for me, ISTE is very much a chance to catch up with friendly faces. I'm a self-confessed lifelong learner and edu magpie, which means I'm more than happy to learn from others and take their best ideas and take them back and share them with my schools here in the UK and on my travels elsewhere. So I think it's a real combination, but I'm hoping people would love to come along and see some of the experiences for schools that I work with in terms of digital vision and what's next. And remember that it's not a race. You don't get a prize for having more tech than anybody else. And I do have to make sure I do shout out, because we are, of course, sharing the love for ISTE, that, you know, part of that framework that I share with people is built around the ISTE essential conditions for effective tech use in schools. And that's a really, interestingly, in most of the schools that I share and work with, it becomes a really useful framework for conversation, for challenge. Every school's different, every cohort of students is different, but it becomes a really nice framework to steer the questions and self-reflection. So a big thumbs up for that as well.
Awesome. Well, I know it, like Abid said, sometimes you don't shout about the things you've done because you don't think they're a big deal, but obviously they are. And it's so exciting to see the community of educators come together, this great big learning network, which is really what ISTE is all about. It's collaboration, it's learning from one another. And we're very excited to kind of get inspired by everybody and see what everyone's doing this year. I know every year we go to ISTE, there are always people who they're ISTE veterans and they've been there for years. And then there's the avids who it's their first time, you know, over at ISTE across the pond. So for the newbies, for the first timers, any tips or tricks on how to navigate, what to do, how to get the most out of ISTE?
Maggie, before we jump on that, we kind of missed out asking you what your plans are at ISTE, both in terms of net support, but also I know you're a passionate educator, love to see some of the trends. So tell us a bit about what's happening from a net support point of view and what you're going to be talking really quietly about.
I will do my best. Honestly, I'll be desperately trying to get off the booth so I can go learn from everybody.
Yeah.
But when I'm not sneaking away to go be in part of sessions and things too, we've got a lot happening at ISTE. As you already heard, Abid's going to be on the booth. We're super excited to have him sharing his knowledge in different sessions kind of throughout the day and throughout the week that we've got going on. Al's going to be there. So we've sucked Al over to the booth as well to come have a quick little chat and be able to share with people about the things that he's doing. The rest of the team is going to be on the booth to say hello. We're going to be having conversations about maximizing technology, making schools safer for students online. And of course, we're going to be showcasing Classroom Cloud, which is our all-in-one education edtech tool that helps from everything from engaging students to classroom management to online safety. So really just talking with teachers and administrators about how they can get the most out of their tech and how they can protect their students while they're on that tech, which is such a big passion project of mine. I've got 3 little ones at home. I'm constantly thinking about what they're going to get into online and how I can keep them safe. So that's a big deal for us. And of course, you can always swing by and grab some of our fun swag and our cool little tech pouches and other items. We have a secret item that we're giving away this year that I won't share about, but you got to come by booth 1613 to go get some cool stuff from us. But enough about me. Let's get those tips and tricks. So Camilla and Brandon especially, what should first timers be doing at ISTE, or how can they get the most out of the experience?
I would say go dig into our program search online. We have created some especially if you're interested in PBL, we do have a whole strand of PBL. If you're interested in what AI might look like, we have a strand for that. If you're a leader, we have a sort of leader. So we have curated some special strands for you to dig into and get some thoughts on that. Go explore. Go to all these like different places, the posters. take a tour, because you can get smattering of ideas, go into our special spaces, the Camp Creativity, the Innovation Arcade. They're made to be really very experiential, so that you can go and just explore new pedagogical frameworks and ideas, and talk to educators. Don't be afraid of meeting up in one of the campfires that we have created. Meet new people, have a discussion with educators. That's sort of the learning that happens. Is really it's really social in some ways. Be there and learn from others who have tried something, and are sharing what they're doing.
Yeah, I usually have like a goal in mind when I go to ISTE of like Camilla said, like, you know, because it can be overwhelming. So you want to try to reduce down like, what are you really there? So like, for instance, I'm moving into STEAM next year, which I've taught in the past, but I'm like, want to look at it again. And so I'll be really interested in like, what is the latest in STEM and PBL for sure. But I usually just try to go in with one topic, because you can utilize the app to kind of sort sessions and all of the different experiences by that topic. And then that kind of helps narrow down your focus and where to go, because there's already so many different types of sessions that are offered, from like your traditional session to like interactive sessions to like the playgrounds, the posters, the expo hall. Oh my. And so you have to just really think about like, what do I really want to go in with? So I'm such a teacher. Like, what is my learning target for myself for ISTE? And have really that goal. I remember when I went to my first ISTE and used to have like the whole binder, and I was like, oh, I need to go to this and this and this. I was like, nope, I did that totally wrong. Like, I really need to just go in with like, what are like 5 things I could really take away in one specific area. And so maybe it is design thinking, right? There's so many different, different sessions on design thinking. And that's what's nice. And you'll see them, throughout every, inch of ISTE. And so I always just say like, have like a goal, and then help that really do that, because you can get lost in like, I'm going to go check out AI, and then I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to do that. And like, it's really overwhelming. And to be beneficial to yourself, you really want to know, like, like, do I just want to like put more strategies in my toolkit? There's ways you can do that through productivity, creativity, etc. And so I usually do that first, and then I can sort in the app by that focus strand, and then I can see all the different sessions, because there's playgrounds about it, there's a poster session about it, and that's what's nice. So then you'll get your variety of different learning experiences. And I always say, think with your feet too. I'm not afraid to just like get a little bit of one session and be like, I'm going to get up and go to another session. So you're always welcome to do that as well. And I think people feel really rude and awkward about that, but that's part of the ISTE experience, is to be like, okay, cool, I got something here, now I'm going to go somewhere else. And because like Al said, there's only so finite amount of time, so you got to really think about how to really utilize that time. So I always just have like a little plan of like, what do you really want to focus in on, and really hold yourself to that throughout.
No, I think that's really brilliant. It's kind of the what's your why, right? So like, why are you there? What are you hoping to get out of it? And then try and orient yourself around that. And I would say too, it's really good to kind of, if you have your why, if you have your reason, what you're trying to do, then not be afraid to ask questions. As someone who's on the other side in the vendor hall, people kind of walking around, like, be intentional, have conversations, ask, how can you help me with student engagement? What do you guys do that helps with STEAM? Do you do anything related to esports? Like, ask the questions, find the people who are going to help you, get the answers that you need and get the information you need. And don't be afraid to just make new friends and get out there and find your people, as Abid said, find your network.
Yeah, lots of those things resonate with me. I mean, I think my first priority is I'm going to hang out with Brandon and Camilla, because it sounds like they've got lots of fun going on. So that's a good starter for 10. I always try and say at any great conference, spend a bit of time beforehand, go through the agenda, find those really key topics that you don't want to miss. And there's always a bit, because it's such a lovely, embracing community at ISTE, of plan a bit longer between point A and point B, because you're bound to bump into at least 1 or 2 people and want to have a chat. And there's nothing worse than seeing someone you haven't seen for a year and have to keep traveling in the opposite direction rather than have a chance to catch up. But yeah, and most of all, I think, you know, I can wear both hats, whether it's my education schools role or whether it's my vendor role. You know, be a bit more direct in the exhibition hall. Ask for the efficacy, the evidence. Ask for you know, we all have lovely shiny brochures. We all want to communicate the benefits of solutions. But I think in the spirit now of what we're trying to do, we're trying to say there needs to be transparency, there needs to be evidence of impact, and don't be afraid to say, you know, give me the proof.
It's like, show me the money, but give me the proof
Exactly.
instead. So, for those who don't know, that's a throwback to Jerry Maguire, which is a movie from like the 90s, which many of you are too young for now. Go
Yeah,
on.
that's me. Too young. Yeah.
Yes, very clearly. So, well, that has been extremely helpful. I hope everyone is excited and pumped up for ISTE. I know I always get like the little giddy butterflies as I think about it coming up and all the wonderful things that are going to happen. It's in the end of June, June 23rd through 26th. There is still time, of course, if you have not registered, to be able to get those last minutes done so you can make it to ISTE. So, you know, book a flight, get yourself ready to go and join the fun. But I want to say a special thank you to all y'all, to Camilla and Brandon, Al and Abid, for joining us today, for sharing what's happening at ISTE this year. And we will look for you on the floor amongst the thousands of people and make a beeline for you to check out all the cool things you suggested to us. Thanks, everybody, so much,
Thank
and
you.
enjoy the rest of your days. Thanks.
Thank you.